Hello interweb, this is Dannage. It's 2022, Happy New Year. We are back with another city's Skylines extravaganza. There's a few YouTubers out there that I've been watching that have started new cities in 2022. Mainly, let's piggyback off the fact that there's some new DLC coming out, airports DLCs. Now, some people might be thinking, well, airport, what? But the exciting thing for me about airports is it's picked up one of the things, along with seasons, I would say, that modular buildings, is particularly for service buildings, are probably the thing that would be highest on my wish list for City Skylines 2. But if you're going to start bringing that into mods or DLCs for City Skylines 1, then that's going to extend the lifetime of this game even further. And that's not a problem. So I would say the three bigger ticket asks: one, seasons, because snowfall. You got that for trams. Modular buildings, particularly for services. Industries gave us a lot of big buildings, and campus gave us a lot of big buildings. But to be fair, do we always want big buildings, or do we want to be able to make complexes where sort of sets of buildings actually sort of can join up in different configurations? Yeah, I think we want a little bit of that. I mentioned three. The third thing I would say is just is basically for CS2, make the next game be able to do all the stuff that all the modding community has added to this game, where they've basically just designed half of CS2 for you. Make it take less processing power. So just optimize some of that code. Big buildings, complexes of buildings, modular structures, and network. They networked the airport stuff. That seems very exciting, and I know there's a lot of people out there that actually were thinking not much about airports, and then when they saw the modular buildings and the sort of attachments to it, they were like, oh, actually that opens up some gates, doesn't it? Because then to be honest, if the modders start getting hand of that, they might start making some large complexes anyway. So that's good. Anyway, let's talk about us. Some other people have started new cities in 2022. We're gonna do the same. Try and do something a little bit different from what we did before. Sort of looking at some of the people that I watch the most. Biffa's doing something in the Arctic. He's now doing a UK series. But then Overcharged Egg is doing like a big American desert city now. Biffa and Bonbon have both worked on islands. They're working on City Planner has a beach thing, and sort of US town or county, where Clearwater County, where he's doing all sorts of sort of connected little towns. Oh, why did that flip? Don't know. But yeah, so they're all doing something. So I was thinking, well, what can I do that makes it slightly different? Still want to appeal to some of the right-hand drive people, I guess. So I figured what I could do is maybe some sort of European theme. Now, this map that we are seeing here does not look very European. This map is Castamere, and it is by Bringer of Fire. And he's quite well known for taking some vanilla stuff and then just discombobulating it, making it work in a way that it wasn't originally intended to be, and then reusing it for something else. So he's the kind of person that would take some of these trees and repurpose them into a toothbrush for you, or something like that. And this is it's basically themed for hot, maybe sort of American tundra. Now, if I leave the car here, I've got some themes, and I thought that this might be a little bit better for sort of European, some sort of vaguely Eastern European-y theme. Sort of Bavarian mountains, what have you, etc. So let me know if that works for you. I'm liking the darker roads. I've picked that up from somewhere. What else is there to say? So a couple of things. Since the last series, I have bought 3 DLCs, largely the 3 ones that we were missing. So I've bought Campus. Shortly after Campus, I bought Green Cities. And then Christmas just gone by in the Christmas sale, I picked up Sunset Harbour. We've got some extra DLC, so we've got the industry, we've got the After Dark, we've got the mass transit, we've basically got everything now, except for natural disasters. It takes me a long time to build these things in the first place, and I have no particular perverse pleasure out of the idea of blowing them all up. So what we're going to try and do is European, but also I have spotted a lot of these guys and girls I've noticed have started off with the, well, I'm just going to start in the one tile and I'm not going to have the achievements unlocked. Now, I have unlocked all of the tiles here, A, for this drive-through, and B, this is our start section, B, because when we do some planning, to be honest, if we're going to plan and we want to look at the resources to figure out what we might do with the town, we kind of need that button, and that button isn't available if you have played with or if you're playing with all of the things locked to start with. So here we are at the sort of satellite view. And yeah, there isn't a tremendous amount of build space, is there? I mean, there's some offshore oil, there's some oil fields in the thing. There's not a tremendous amount of ore around, and some fertile land, but that's really, I mean, that fertile land is kind of in the flat space, so that's kind of where the city's going to have to be, isn't it? I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of space around here. We might add some ore in, but technically, I mean, maybe we don't need to. We are not playing with diminishing ore, so the resources aren't depleting. So as long as I've got these sources covered, then it could be that that's fine. We're also not playing with infinite cash anymore, so we are going to have to watch our budget. The only other thing to point out really is that the two parts. One, not really this isn't really going to be a detailing series. I'm not much of a detailer. One of the mods that's probably the most important, especially for if we're going to build up into the mountains, don't you hate it? Don't you hate it when you build up into the mountains and you have to build like power stations in there? One of my mods here is electric roads, and that basically means that as long as part of your road network gets power, then that road network is powered and passes power on. So we've got a fair amount of flat land here, but we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, I've been thinking about what to go. I mean, you know, obviously we could be saying, well, old town somewhere. If it's European, it's going to have a much older city centre than other places. And maybe that would have built up. It wouldn't necessarily have built up around the highway or motorway if you're in the UK. It might have been on the riverfront if the land here wasn't that great at, I mean, there's a flat area here, so it could be that this was the original city, but that might be where the port needs to go. So one of the dramatic things I think that we should do, what I'm thinking of doing here, there is a dam. Now that dam would have come after the city was built, or it would have come maybe before they built up the city to new city proportions. This is what I'm talking about, Bringer of Fire sort of doing things. This is not a railway tunnel, although there is a railway across the top of the dam. This, if we move it, is a solar power station. Let's bulldoze that though. Let's get rid of that. And the old town would have existed before the dam came in, wouldn't it? You know where this is going, don't you? We are going to bulldoze that bad boy off. There are some things there as well. We're going to get rid of that. And now, what we are going to see here is some flooding. And that's going to come down here. But this is going to show us... Did I say a minute ago I didn't revel in natural disasters? I did. But what that is going to do is that is going to give us an idea of where the river would have been prior to the dam coming out. So I'm going to let that run, and we're going to come back and we're going to see how that's affected things. And here we are back again to see where the waters come. This area over here, I wouldn't say that's pre-dam, because that I think has been cut out largely for the purposes of the railway, because the railway's gone down under there, so I don't think that would have naturally necessarily gone that way. Interestingly, the highway just got over the top of the water. Over here is where we sort of have our largest difference here. This land is all now submerged up to about here, so there's a bit more there that would have formed some sort of a lake perhaps, and then sort of escaping down to the waters. And that looks, I mean, that may be receding, but it looks like there could have been some water coming down there, but also it's gone around the side. And then by that point you're sort of back to normal. This start area, actually, all of this is fine. So this is perfectly legit. Would have been a start position for a town. So that could be the old town. We could put some of the old town around this side as well. So this little sticky out bit here, and this piece there. So maybe that was where the city centre will be, and this will be residential, and then obviously this will be industrial. We can come up with what we're going to do. We can get rid of that extra water source, and we can put a dam back in. Probably going to not like, oh, there it is. Questionable whether that's actually done anything. It seems to have sent some water into some magical hole. So let's look at some areas of what we do. So let's assume that this area off here would be suitable for the original town. The first settlers came, sorted themselves out. I don't know why I'm doing this as neatly as I can, because I obviously have to start again. So let's mark these out to start with, and then I will go and put all the names in. But that'll be a big residential area. This is going to be oil fields. So there's not going to be a posh residential area next to it. It's just going to be a big... it's the equivalent of our urban sprawl. Quarries around here. So now I might be tempted to up some of the ore content around here, and then just maybe cut more into the mountains. It's not like we haven't got any mountains on the map. So maybe what we might do, increase some more around here somewhere. Just put that in the sides like that, and then I don't know how much was there, but then this area would sort of be mountainside digging. And then we've got two industries fairly close to each other. Then so that would be the town. I think now in terms of campuses, I think a campus would like a nice flat area, and it would like it out of town. What have we got here? That's on a hill, so that's maybe a nature reserve, I suppose. Could well, there is already a footpath and some. There's an abandoned factory and some stuff. Is that some ore? Is that some ore there? It is. It is. Okay, so maybe a sort of hillside nature reserve that could work. We got some water. Let's ignore the ore. And then let's assume, unless that was oil under there, we don't care about oil. Got plenty of oil over here. So we could even replace that oil with fertile land, because we're being cheeky. Now this land would have all been fertile, so maybe that could have been farmland. That's kind of surrounding if these two are the sort of town and the city. Oil, ore, farm, and possibly farm again. It might be quite a. Oh, actually, we do have some trees there. Is that the most treeful place? So this is probably where we'd stick our forestry. So I was going to say we were getting into that position where all of our industries were surrounding the town. Does that say forest district? Wow. This could be a little bit of farmland as well. Now, presumably that's underwater at the moment, but so that could be ex-farmland reclaimed back to housing. So I think this would be original, and then you're going to need a port, aren't you? So highway access. I think that's a highway access there. So cargo area. That you see that looks like too much of a hill to be an effective port for an airport. I mean, I don't know if we'll get large scale airports in a mountain area like this, but I'm thinking maybe the water's edge here, maybe some sort of reclaimed land for that, and then so that's pretty much it in terms of, I think, major areas. So is that it? So cargo harbour, forest district, airport, ore mining, oil fields, residential, old town, so all the sort of city around there, the farmland, the nature reserve, and the university. And then using those electric roads, possibly some little strands, some little tendrils of housing going into the mountains, but not much in the mountains. That's already got a junction, 2 ways off there, 2 ways off there, lovely. And so yeah, so that's what we're going to try. I'm going to take a quick maybe a screen cap of that, just so that I remember vaguely where stuff is, and that's where we're going to go. And welcome to a new city. Have corrected the colour correction. It was the relight was off. I had relight warm now, and I have I think it's relight average, but I reloaded the theme and it's a slightly different colour. What are we going to do with this? Now, we remember that we've got some industry over there, we have a train line over here, so I'd like a second train line here for industry. I won't put it all the way. I won't put 2 train lines all the way through, because Bringer of Fire's done a lot of this sort of jiggery pokery under the roads, and there's a lot of work which I don't want to undermine. There will be some element, or there will be some areas where there's just 1 train line, but we'll get 2 train lines where we can, because we want to keep the industrial and the passenger rail as separate as possible. And as long as where we've got, I mean, we've got plenty of length here for so we can put a station here, and we shouldn't have any backup, even if there's a bit of industrial traffic, because there's going to be a fair amount of industrial stuff from taking this stuff, but it's got fairly quick access to the highways as well. So this is all largely going to be residential. We're not going to need, there is a power supply here, thank you Bringer of Fire again for supplying some more. We will be making use of it, but we won't be making use of the connection, so we won't need any power lines here. You know, everybody needs to start off with industry and some commercial and some residential, and what we're going to do, we're going to put the industry over here. So in this tile, we're just going to have some production stuff, goods production, which will make use of all of the stuff that these things are producing. Quick access to the railway. The rest of this will all be residential. We have to be able to make money when we don't have stuff for free. That road is going to eventually be a larger road, but for now, I think what we'll do the typical thing. We'll do dirt tracks for now. Dirt tracks, and then what we are going to do, we want to follow the coastline, but there's also this curve here, and I figured what we might do, we'll get some houses in nice and quick, but they won't be, it's not that they won't be permanent, we will sort of redo it, so we're just going to get something in quick so that we've got some housing coming up. We want to go kind of parallel to that, so we're not going to need to worry too much about making it pretty at the moment. What we want to do here is we want to stick lots of residential zones, and we're going to put them quite close together, because then what we'll do is kind of we'll replace, as we go, we'll replace certain sections at a time. You know, We won't do it all in one go, so City Planner Plays doesn't get too much of a panic on when we bulldoze all of the houses. Get some of that going. And what I'm going to do here, let's see. Now, if we assume a second rail line around there, and then maybe an extra bit of rail line for about there, for the industrial place. So let's go. Is that a bit close? We are... No, we haven't unlocked anything yet. Let's assume, for now, I mean, there's a bit of a hill there, but I think it's probably four deep, and then that means that the rail line's there, and then maybe there isn't. But maybe the bypass doesn't need to be. This could be the industrial line, and then the passenger line could go behind it. Yeah. We're not going to put a cargo station in here for a while anyway. Then what we want up here, so we want a nice bit of raised road there. Perhaps didn't need to raise it quite that high, but okay. Let's bring that back down to that. That looks terrible, doesn't it? Don't worry. This is quick. This is like your first 10,000 spend, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now we're going from there. We'll go down to here's a trick. If you go down to 0, and then it normally does that. Oh, I'm going to shorten that bridge, and you think, well, I want it a bit longer. So you go up to 1, and then go down to 0. And then you'll be fine. We'll connect up like that. But we will need water. So we're going to go. Now, I don't want to make too much noise for these people, so let's leave that on the other side here. Doink, 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 doink. That's our water. Oh, we need sewage. Sewage. That is a drain pipe, and that's 320 a week. Draining causes a lot of pollution. It's funny that says 0 pollution, doesn't it? It may be 0 ground pollution, but the stuff that it pumps out. So 320. You know, some of this water treatment stuff I kept thinking was going to be in Green Cities, but it turns out to be Sunset Harbour. It's a little bit bizarre that they did a load of eco water, but then I get, because it's all fish and fishing related. Okay, that makes sense. How much was that? 480 a week. Now we've got 160 a week. Well, that's we don't use the block services. We have that for map editing. Block services, great stuff when you're making maps, because when you make maps and you decide to use assets, like Bringer of Fire did actually over there with power stations and things, you get a lot of complaints saying, you haven't got power, you haven't got this, you haven't got that. You think, dude, I'm making it for a map, we're not playing. I did connect. I did bring the water pipes out that far, so that's good. That's a reason to have done that. Some houses. That is going to, we can start there now, because I believe that is going to give us enough to go. Right, so we should have power down these roads now. We do indeed. They're a delightful blue. Let's speed this up a little bit. Got some houses coming up. Let's see, are they European style? Who knows? To be honest, it's been so long since I've been to Europe. But are they European? Oh, couldn't tell. I could tell you what the inside of my house looks like. I could tell you what the ceilings in my house look like. They are very, very normal. Right, so it's probably more industry than I needed, but that'll drive up the price. I haven't used so things that I have or haven't used. I have played a bit of Campus and a little bit of what was the other one? Green Cities. I've put some eco buildings in before, but Sunset Harbour, first time. First residence. Let's follow James Phillips. It's coming in. and going around the long way. That's interesting. Obviously, this is one of those. I'm going to use the highway road because it's faster, despite the fact that you've got a shorter roundabout. So we're going to have to fix that in a second, aren't we? But let's see where James is going. James is going to the Pearl residence in his Jeep, and he's unemployed. Well, it's a good thing I just put in loads of industry, whose demand is going. Hey, he's coming all the way out to the end. I thought he was gonna live in that house for a second there. That one, I thought unemployed and you live in there. That's amazing. Small one. Oh yeah. There we go. 2 people. Lovely. Okay, well done. Pearl residence. Shall we make this historic? Look, that's our first building. It's like the Garden of Eden. We get these in and then we sort of replace it. So we'll do kind of like a street at a time, and we'll make a nicer street here. Maybe a little footpath around the outside there, because I would like it to go along the coast. I say the coast, the bank. It's the riverbank, isn't it? Yes, let's go there. So we've got some industry. We've got a little bit of positive income now, 160. That's good. Let's see how our realistic population's going. 25 workers. That's nice. That's nicer than 4, isn't it? 25 there as well, and 5. We're a bit more used to that sort of thing. No, these are good numbers. These are good numbers, sensible numbers of workers. Let's not let you go left. Somebody's using the roundabout part now. Let's give that a couple of minutes to fill up. So coming back to it now, we've got 410 people coming in. We're making 1,400 a week. We've got 2 routes to get to the industry, and we've got people walking them. This road is going to be main road. This one is as well. And we don't want the American grid, do we? But the thing that surprised me, looking at a couple of maps on having a quick check at some European cities. Now granted this is the city centre, but I was surprised about how much still they work with blocks. Now they're not quite sort of square blocks, they're more sort of weird, slightly sort of skewed rectangles, and still lots of straight lines though, and lots of block situations. So there will still be some of that to do here. So we're not going to go completely squiggly. We're not going to go completely graph paper. We're going to go somewhere in the middle. Some of these main roads we will have nice and straight, and then basically, because you say when you talk about roads, most roads have to go somewhere, don't they? They have to lead somewhere. This one, if that comes out there where when we unlock that tile, that can be a crossing across the river. There's not a tremendous amount of build space over here, but that could be somewhere that goes. I mean, I suppose it joins up, maybe somewhere back round there. Stuff needs to go somewhere, but in these residential areas, it doesn't really need to go anywhere. No major roads going anywhere. But this road is going to go to industry, and this road is going to go to industry, and then it's going to happen to sort of come round, and I guess we want it to follow that train line neatly. So the only one that we're safe to sort of go with a larger road here, so the 4-lane road, now that we're making a bit more money, is this one. And let's put the grid lines back on. And this is where we get into I'm a bit nervous about this area here. That looks awful, doesn't it? Is that going to mess up? It's not going to mess that up too much. That's still, because the thing I like about this, very much, you look that's pretty much straight on. Even though this is a roundabout, that's pretty much straight on. So the angles here, very, very nicely done. Ooh, little hamlet. That's giving us access to taxes. Now, we never use taxes. We never do anything with taxes, but I am going to pause it because I'm just talking about this roundabout. So that's still kind of straight, and that's kind of straight. So not too bad. I do want to. Now, the reason I've paused it is because I want to. When you unlock these things, as you know, some of the stuff, it immediately starts complaining if you don't do. So now that that's been unlocked, if I don't get garbage, everybody's going to suddenly get sick and die, and then I'll lose all my population. So we're not going to do that just yet. Junction restrictions here. Now, what we do want to do is we want to get rid of the crossings, and I'm trying to. Have we got vehicle despawning? No, Biffle would be unhappy. All right, that's coming off. Right, let's playing in hard mode. Intersection marking tool. Is that now? I want to control and space to selection step over. No lines at this intersection yet. What I want, crosswalks. No crosswalks. 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure there's crosswalks there, guys. Okay, I'm sure I've seen somebody do this. I'm sure I've seen Biffa, I think. Okay, so people in the comments. How do I get rid of the crosswalk markings? Normally when I do a roundabout off of an intersection, I make it a highway road. Not sure if I'm feeling brave enough to distort the roads even more. Answers on a postcard. Let's put that in, and over here we're going to take $240 a week, $160 a week. I'm going to go for the recycling centre. Now, it's not the cheapest one. The cheapest one's a landfill. That's another $160 a week versus $240 a week. The problem is with the landfill is that it makes a massive amount of pollution. Whilst we're going to put some more road over there, we need some more quick streets out here. We want to follow the coastline a little bit here. Oh, that. I swear that's a straight road. That's supposed to be. Yeah, so we don't want to get too close to the coastline, because then when I put the new road in, I want to upset things too much. So this is going to give us plenty. That's plenty more houses. Let's get a school in. Oh, hang on, we've got 160 versus 240. Let's go for the cheap one. How far? Oh, it's only about halfway. But you know what? We've got industry. So we do need uneducated workers for industry. Not sure what that says about industry. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have called it uneducated. Industry only requires people that have never done anything school-wise, which is not the case, is it? A little bit of commercial demand. We can put in the rest of that space. Not terrible, but oh, we had access to taxes, didn't we? Oh, yeah. Now, we don't need that much power, and then water, we probably won't need as much water as we've got at the moment, so let's take that down to 80%. But what we are also going to do, I never do this, I'm going to change the taxes. No, I don't think I've ever done this. No, what is it, 12-13% some people say you can get up to. I'm going to put residential and commercial up at 11%, and I'm going to be slightly harsher on the industry with 12%. So that's nice, and we're going to go to 2 milestones. So we've done the little village, but or the little hamlet. So what one are we going to go for? Worthy Village. It's going to unlock another one. We are way off not unlocking another tile. But that will give us districts. So we can put a district in here. And some policies. I'm not sure. What policies do you think I should have? Fire and police. I will, as soon as that thing unlocks, I will put a fire department in. Because I know this game. Even though I don't have natural disasters, it does like to say, well, I've unlocked fire now, and therefore if you don't have a fire station, immediately stuff will start to burn. We are going to upgrade this, but not yet, because we've still got other stuff going. But what we can do is we can preemptively upgrade that to get rid of all that dirt glitching. That's still kind of nice in terms of speed. That hasn't distorted. It feels like these are slightly cornery now, more so than here. But maybe some node controller relaxing will work on that. Is that a parked car? Have you allowed me to park a car? No. Sorry, bring her a fight. Yeah, no parking on the roundabout. Thanks very much. To be honest, all these. No park. Shift click. Shift click and click. We don't want any parking on that main road either, because that's going to be a major thoroughfare. So we're on 680. We need 950. We are going to need to build a couple more roads worth of houses. I'm going to want the road to sort of come over here. So if I build the road behind where I want to build it, I can build something a little bit closer. Let's just curve the end of that off. So I'll make a nicer road with a bit of a curve in it. You know, we can either move the houses, or we could just, you know, I'm sure City Planner Plays won't be watching, so we could just destroy some houses, move them over a little bit. You know, it's not eminent domain if you're improving the whole neighbourhood and redeveloping brownfield sites. That's fine. They did it. I went to Liverpool a couple of years ago, and they were trying to do it with like houses that belonged to the Beatles when the Beatles grew up in, and entire swathes of rows of terraced houses. I'm looking at Biffa's new UK town, but whole swathes of terraced houses. They're all just sitting there undeveloped because they couldn't buy or get the permission to knock down. I think it was George Harrison's house or Ringo Starr's house, but it was so this whole area looks like a slum. It's well, you could have maybe you could have just sort of made that house a historical thing and knocked down everything around it. And to be fair, that was like 10-15 years ago, so they probably have done it since then, and it probably looks like this. The water is going to be the thing that upsets people, because we are going to have to move it away. Well, when we have new roads, we're obviously going to have to move the water pipes. We are going to have roads that have pipes, and then the pipes are going to have to be moved, and they're going to have to be moved whilst people are living there, and you're just going to have to pretend that happened in a different order. I don't see why in this day and age, you've got some. That's a lovely big house, isn't it? That is a larger house than I will ever own, by a significant margin, and yet no back garden. Your back garden consists of a small bit. A house of that size should basically have a garden at least as big. That is the other thing that we will have to do when we make the replacement road and we put replacement houses on it. We'll only put them on one side, and before we put the road behind that, we will attach houses with gardens. There's another one. This guy has got a little bit more space. So we've done that. We're going to park that. What we're going to do is we're going to paint a district, put the fire station in. We're not going to do any loans. Never do loans. Fire station there for now. And people will complain about crime as well. So as we've opened that, I'm sure they'll complain about crime over here. But okay, so how far have we got? Where have we got to at the end of that? We are at just under 1,000 people coming in. We've lost 20 grand or 17 grand this session, but we are making 1,700 a week, or a weekly income. And what shall the game call it? And then what shall we rename that to? Now I did call the last place Cattle Shores. I've got a sort of a an idea for this if needed, but let's see if anybody comes up in the comments with something else to name it. Here at the moment it's called Walnut Square, even though there are no squares here. So last series we tried doing 3 episodes a week, and let me tell you, the recording editing schedule for that was an absolute backbreaker, so we're not going to do that anymore. We are going to come up on a weekly basis here. We're going to come up with slightly longer videos, but one a week, which means that we are going to see you next Wednesday, by which time the Airports DLC will have come out. If you got the Airports DLC, let's talk about it in the comments, and tell me what it's like. Is it any good? Is it as good as the as it looked? We might get that in here later. For now, we are going to just let the town grow, get this tile started, get our income sorted next week, and then I think next week we'll put some houses here to the left. So please join me next week. Please leave a like. You don't need to subscribe if you don't want to, but leaving a like means at least I know some people have watched it and not hated every second. And we'll see you. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next week.